Hey guys, it is Chris from In the Rough Crystals. So welcome. Today I was guided to do a video on the crystal Kyanite. So first off, I just want to say if you have not watched the Truth About Crystals video that I have on YouTube, I would recommend that you do watch that. It gives you a little bit of insight on how I work with crystals, how I interpret the energy of crystals. Um, we tend to focus a lot traditionally on how crystals can help benefit us in terms of if we have specific symptoms, in terms of physicality, to work with. However, when we work with crystals in that way, what it does is it takes away the multi-dimensionality of ourselves. So we tend to just focus on only the physical elements of how crystals can be helpful, but then we bypass how they work with us on a multi-dimensional level, meaning, works on our emotional body, our mental bodies, our other, astral bodies, spiritual bodies, and so forth. So working with the crystals only in a physical level it's almost like us not taking personal accountability for ourselves in a sense. Um, and being someone that does I have a crystal business. Like, I see it a lot where people come and they look for crystals for a specific physical reason, and then they work with it, and because they're only looking for relief of that symptom, which the symptom is the physical manifestation of something on deeper levels or another dimensional level of experience. What happens is that the crystal, the crystalline structure, the atomic structure of the crystal interacts with our crystalline structure in a specific way based upon what the crystal is. So it's going to start to interact and pull up layers of kind of what is in a different dimensional body of our experience that we need to work through or heal or expand or evolve, depending again on the crystal. And if we don't understand those other dimensional layers and we're only stuck in 3D, the physical, then we missed an opportunity that we have to really work with the true resonance of the crystal. And we also kind of miss an opportunity to heal on deeper levels. So that's why we have people who they buy crystals and then that one doesn't work because they don't understand how the crystal is working within them, and then they buy another crystal to try to help them with the same symptom, and they keep buying crystals and crystals and crystals. And then also what can also happen, I'm sorry, depending on certain crystals are very high vibrational crystals. Certain crystals are very, very dense and very transformative crystals. So if you're not ready to work with that vibration, that higher vibration, or you're not ready to, for example, like some of the denser crystals or like the shadow working crystals, if you're not ready to really go in and do the inner work, it can create more blocks and can cause more harm in your energetic field than good. So it's very, very important to really learn about the crystals you're working with and understand the resonance of the crystals. And I strive to teach that we have to get beyond the physicality of working with the crystals, because they have so much to teach us on a not only an energetic or a physical level, but even on a crystalline level. Like, our bodies are changing from carbon structures, which is why we're going through so much change and so much pressure as a collective, because we're pushing out all of the density so that we can attune to the diamond frequencies, or the diamond structure, the crystalline structure of the body. And so again, if you haven't checked out what you should know about crystals, I recommend you check out that video. But we're going to talk about kyanite because kyanite came up for our crystal conscious reading for the second week of November. But feel free to connect with the resonance of kyanite for that reading, or just for general uses if you feel called to come to this video, or if you come across it just because you're interested in kyanite or working with kyanite. And so kyanite, I do want to say, is an aluminum silicate. And aluminum silicate has two different structures. One's an octahedron and the other one's a tetrahedron. So if you're into sacred geometry, that will really help you tie into understanding how the chemical composition of the crystal works within our bodies. It helps to transmit electrical signals within the brain and send those signals to other part of the body. It predominantly works within sending those energy signals within our throat chakra, which is our communication center, within our third eye, which is our insight, our intuition, our psychic gifts, and it also works within the crown as well. So predominantly any of the meridians or energy centers that are focused in those areas, and again, how it interacts with your field is based upon your individual mapping, but it still works predominantly through those areas. So kyanite is really helpful, and I like it because it helps to change the way, works within the ways of our brain. It helps to change, like normally we have like these really fast paced like beta waves just on a normal day-to-day basis. So kyanite helps to slow your brain waves down to work within different states. So we know that when we're working with slower brain waves, we're able to kind of get out of the mind. So it's good for, it's helpful for people who are overthinking a lot. And it's also good for inducing meditative states and also psychic development. So I always recommend, like, if you're someone who meditates, or if you're learning or teaching yourself how to meditate, if you work with kyanite before you do your meditation, it's very, very helpful to help slow your brain waves down and kind of bring you into alignment and connection with your body. So really helpful, and you can work with kyanite in that way just by holding your kyanite in your receiving hand when you're meditating. Kyanite's also helpful because it also helps to align your chakras, to clear and align your chakras. So it removes any energy blockages throughout the entire body. And literally, like, okay, so what I'm getting in terms from intuitively from kyanite is that kyanite's working right now so that we can, using our third eye, using our intuition, our psychic gifts, some of us even telepathy, we're able to intuitively pinpoint within our body what areas are not in alignment, and exactly what we need to do to bring ourselves back into restoration or health in those areas. But again, like, kyanite's very, very helpful for alignment. So clearing the meridians, clearing the chakras, and then bringing those areas back into harmony and full functioning alignment. And again, kyanite's helpful for developing the third eye. We've been having a lot of third eye activations lately, and we're going to continue to have an expansion of third eye activation. So as we're working and we're clearing our clearing the energy blocks out of our system, what we're doing, especially when we're doing shadow work or purging and we're clearing stuff out, Kyanite's going to be very helpful for helping to assist that process, just clearing all that excess debris, moving it out, and then kind of bringing and restoring everything, your system back to harmony. So think of it like doing like a detox or a cleanse, and then after you do that, you purge out all that gunk. Then what you do is you reintroduce what, like higher vibrational foods, salads, juices, just stuff to kind of, vitamins and minerals to keep you in a healthy state. And that's kind of what kyanite does after it helps, get all that stuff out. It's kind of like a computer reboot almost. So it's going to bring you back into alignment. And when we come back into alignment and we start to, power back up, we start to function better. And we're more in harmony, more in alignment with self. So we'll start to notice that different, areas, different chakras, we start to have access to different gifts. We feel better. We like what I'm seeing intuitively, it's like us taking like layers and layers off, like jackets off. Like we feel lighter, our vibrations higher. But what I feel like in kind of in the taking off the layers that I saw is that what we're doing is we're taking off things that are not truly who we are. They're things that we've kind of acquired from having, the human experience, from societal beliefs, programming, that sort of thing, but it's not in alignment with our true nature. So what Kyanite's helping us do is to take out all of those things, and then kind of restoring our system so that we can express, especially with blue Kyanites, predominantly within the throat chakra, but it also does function within other chakras as well. But it helps us in expressing and communicating our authenticity. So this is about being truthful with ourselves as well. This kind of experience of truth, like whereas like a crystal like Amazonite is kind of like an external, like an external expression. Kyanite's more of like an inner truth, accessing like an inner truth of like who you are. So this could also unlock, again, psychic gifts, intuitive gifts. You can access things about your lineage. Like if you're a star seed, like you may get receive star seed activations. Your guides may make themselves known, like that sort of thing. So this communication is more of like an internal kind of truth, an internal communication that I'm feeling with Kyanite. If you're someone that does healing work, especially crystal healing, Kyanite can be really helpful right now if you're doing any type of energetic surgery on your clients, especially like cord cutting, working with doing any type of like, program entity kind of detachment, that sort of thing. So what I do want to express about Kyanite, so Kyanite, and if I'm pausing because it's like like messages are coming through, so I have to, kind of pull it together so I can translate it to you guys. So how Kyanite's also helping us, especially during this time, is, remember that staircase I was talking about earlier? Like, it's kind of like a bridge almost. And Kyanite helps us um, bridge kind of the divine communication and the divine mind and anchor that into our brains through those electrical signals and those codes. So again, I feel like a lot of DNA upgrades, a lot of codes, a lot of downloads going on during this time. And what Kyanite's helping us do is take that information from spirit, take that information from guides, to pull in those solar codes that we're accessing. They're like files. We're unlocking these files and we're downloading them into our system, and then we're able to utilize those to access our gifts or to move into a new space of development, and aligning more and more with our authentic self or our true self, and who we truly are and how we're supposed to express that here on this planet. um, so that's kind of like what I'm feeling about kyanite right now. I do want to briefly, before I wrap up, I want to talk about just the rays of the crystals. So we all know about the colors in the electromagnetic spectrum, and generally when we talk about colors, we can correlate colors to understand how the crystals work with us and what chakra it may be dominantly working in. Um, I also like to work with crystals sometimes with not only myself but with my clients as well, with the color rays if I feel guided. So, when we look at kyanite, and this is just really to train ourselves that, you know, the colors that we see, depending on how trained our third eye is, we may see in a 3D perspective. We would say that kyanite is blue and its dominant ray is blue. Kyanite's color ray is and I normally take from the color spectrum of each crystal whatever the dominant color rays are, and that gives me a bigger picture of the different energy centers that it would be working in. So the dominant ray is blue, which is why it correlates so well within the throat chakra, because that is the color of the throat chakra. But its secondary ray is silver. So when we talk about silver, we're moving into our higher transpersonal chakras that are connected with divine energy, that's outside of our lost that crystal, our 7 chakra range. So this silvery information, the silvery rays bringing in divine information from our higher chakras so that it can be integrated into our brain. I feel like the color ray of silver is like, what I'm seeing is like light codes. It's hard to explain. Like I'm seeing like light codes, like light language symbols, and they're like these streams, like coming, like vertical streams coming down. Like the silver ray that's in the crystal is kind of like the threads that pull in and download, help move and download and pull the information into our brain, and it helps to, it's within our brain, or our crown chakra, because the next dominant ray is white. So what happens is that like our crown chakras try to filter that information. So if we have a closed or if we have a blocked crown chakra, then what happens is that a lot of that information gets splintered and we can't really process it, and we can't understand the information that's coming in. So very, very important, as we're doing this purging and we're doing this clearing work, the more that we move out dense energy, the more that we clear out blockages, when that silver energy from kyanite comes in and brings in those codes, and our crown chakra is fairly clear and it's open, we're able to process and we're able to filter that information better with more clarity, and we're able to translate that information through our throat chakra, and project it out into the 3D. Um, and I'm just feeling a lot of, I mean, again, just this is a lot of upper chakra, just very high vibrational energy with kyanite. Again, I'm really feeling a lot with kyanite right now, like people getting downloads. There's a lot of awakening energy happening. I'm really feeling like people may start to experience like an increasing of psychic gifts, um, accessing different gifts if you're working within one spectrum, or an expansion, or a new way to work with that particular gift. Um, but it also helps with just developing spiritually in general. So I just feel, again, a lot of upgrades, um, a lot of soul expansion here. So just know that I know there's a lot of storm energy swirling around because we are in Scorpio, and it's a lot of transformative. Last week we were working with the crystal sulfur. So check out again the sulfur video for insight on that and kind of what's going on with what was going on last week within the crystalline energy here on the collective. But sulfur just really last week, if you haven't watched the video, sulfur is a very intense crystal of purification, of transformation. It really detoxifies the entire field. So again, whether you're physically working with the crystal or not, it doesn't matter, because the crystals have a kind of etheric body too. They're multidimensional just like we are, so that resonance still affects us whether we physically work with the crystal or not. And we're experiencing last week, like, I don't think there was a person that I talked to that wasn't going through some type of like intense storm upheaval, that was kind of swirling around them. So the most important thing to say is that all this stuff is coming up and it's swirling around us because it's moving out of us, because it's not in alignment with our true nature, and we're being upgraded, we're being moved to the next level. So that stuff has to go. We need to lighten our load so that we can pull in, like we're doing this week with Kyanite, we can pull in the information that we need to. We can rewire ourselves, we can come into balance with that, and with that it brings a lot of new information, a lot of new awareness, a lot of awakenings happening, with a lot of people on a planetary level. And so that's kind of how I'm feeling with kyanite this week. And if you have any questions, or if you have any additional insights, remember, we all teach each other. So if you have any other additional insights to kind of, please feel free to put them down in the comments below. And hopefully you enjoyed this information about kyanite. And just make sure you subscribe, guys. I do want you to know that I did on the channel, I went ahead and I separated out the playlist, just because, as you can see, we're starting to expand here. So we have readings that are for like the collective. We have we're gonna start next month, we're doing horoscope readings for the signs. We have full moon readings. We have information about crystals. We have like spirit coaching. So we're separating things out so people can kind of be directed to go for towards the direction that they most need at this time. So feel free to check out just a different playlists, so you can find something that might resonate with you, or hopefully everything resonates with you. And if there's something that you would like me to touch on, or if there is a crystal that you would like to learn about and I don't have a video up for it yet, feel free to just put it down in the comments. You could also email me at intheroughcrystals@gmail.com. And don't forget, guys, I am on Instagram. My crystal page is in the Rough Crystals, and my personal page, which has more of the readings and the coaching, a little bit more personalized, is Chris_in the Rough Crystals. So guys, again, make sure you subscribe, and if you want to be notified when I post videos, just make sure that you hit the bell, so when I do post the videos, you know that there is a new one that is up and going. So hopefully everyone's doing really well. Very important. We have the 11/11 gateway energies coming up. You can check out that video as well. Just really stay grounded right now. You know, I keep seeing just this kind of storm swirling around. Stay grounded, you know, stay really grounded, stay centered. I'm feeling a need to, you know, let everyone know, just, you know, to really focus on breathing exercises. Allow what I mean, get really in tune with your body. Feel into how whatever's triggering you is making you feel, but don't allow yourself to become that energy. Just experience it and kind of let it pass through like a filter, and experience the symptoms. Like, learn how those type of triggers make your body respond, how you feel like mentally, and then what you have to do is move that energy out, you know. So experience it and move that out. One of the most effective ways to move that energy out is breathing. So pranayama is really awesome right now because it allows you to move that energy out, especially of the mind, and it helps you to relax the body and move that energy out of your body and just kind of be in a centered, mindless, and connected state with the true essence of the self. So really try to stay grounded, guys. Regardless of what's going on in your life, know that things are shifting because it's pushing you exactly where you need to be. And something really important that someone I follow said, I believe it was Vanessa Lamorte, she said that what is meant for you won't pass you by. So know that, you know, if you're leaving out of a relationship, it's not because you're being abandoned or something's wrong with you. It's because our vibration, you know, on an energetic level, we're being shifted and our vibration is changing. So as we shift, other things shift too. They might shift away from us and they may shift to us. So, you know that everything's happening for, you know, exactly the reason that it's supposed to happen for, and that's for you to be in the best version of yourself that you can be, and you can step into the highest resonance of your true self that you can be. So allow what is going to go. Very important to also take note of, like, any changes, any challenges that you have. Don't ruminate on them, but look at every situation and what's coming up for review and ask yourself, what has this taught me about the experience of myself? What am I learning about myself? And how can I utilize that energy? Because it's still energy, regardless of whether it's leaving or not. Now, what can I do with that energy? Because typically we take that energy and we hold it in our field, and that's what makes us sick. So how do we take that energy to change it, to alchemize it? Because it's still energy, it's still moving. How do we process that? How do we make the changes we need to? And then how do we transform that energy and turn it into something else and use that energy to create something new? Something for you to think about. I'm going to wrap up, guys. So many blessings on your journey. Thank you so much for joining and watching, and blessings to all. Night.